Sportman now.
Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change his or her vote on this bill? The ayes are 69, the nays are 30. The bill as amended is passed.
Mr. President, I move to reconsider the vote by which the bill was passed.
Without objection.
Lay that on the table. Mr. President?
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I had a conversation with the Republican leader. We have a very, very important briefing today at 3:30. It will be in the classified area of the Visitor Center. We're going to have Secretary Burns, head of the General Clapper will be there, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Secretary Panetta will be there to talk about a number of countries around the world that we need to focus our attention on. I hope we have very, very good attendance at this meeting. It would be very, very important that we have senators listen to what these gentlemen have to say. So I would ask unanimous consent that we be in recess today from 3:30 until 4:30.
Is there objection? Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
the experiment that we've just completed, these appropriation bills, has worked out extremely well. One reason it's worked out as well as it has is because of Senator Cole. Senator Cole's been in the Senate more than 2 decades. And those of us who have watched him know that he doesn't spend a lot of time talking, but he spends a lot of time getting things done. And this legislation was an example of how good he is. Also, Senator Blunt. This is a new experience for him, but he had been in the House. He's been in the House for many years. It was part of their leadership and actually hit the ground running, has been a great partner in helping us move this legislation forward. So I congratulate both these fine senators.
Senator from Wisconsin.
Upon passage of this bill, Mr. President, I'd like to take a moment to thank my ranking member, Senator Blunt, for his guidance and support throughout this process. He, as well as his staff, Stacey McBride and Mary Koskinen, were extraordinarily helpful to me and my staff as we put this bill together. I'd also like to thank my staff, Galen Fountain, Jessica Frederick, Diane Neller, Bob Ross, and Chad Metzler, for their excellent work. This is an austere bill, Mr. President. As I've stated before, almost every category of funding is lower than last year and much lower than the year before. We've had good debate on the floor about various provisions in the bill, and we've taken many votes. The process has been open and transparent. We have followed the regular order, and this bill was considered on the Senate floor. We can now conference this bill with the House and hopefully send it to the President shortly after that.
Under the previous order, the Senate will be in a period of morning business until 4:30 p.m. with the senators permitted to speak therein for up to 10 minutes each. The senator from Missouri.
President, I want to take a moment to thank Senator Cole. The comments that the Majority Leader made about him are certainly proven right in all of our relationships. I want to thank him for his guidance and encouragement throughout this process. We've had open communications and worked together to address the amendments brought forward by our colleagues. And while we didn't agree on every single thing in the bill, we certainly agreed to be agreeable about that and see if we couldn't produce a work product here that is the kind of work product that people have a right to expect the United States Senate to do. And so the passage of these three bills is significant. I certainly want to thank Senator Cole's staff, Galen Fountain, Jessica Frederick, Diane Neller, and Bob Ross for their contributions, and my staff, Stacey McBride, Mary Kostensen, Brian Diffel, Zach Kenney, and Christina Weger. Because this has been a process that's involved 2 other subcommittees, I want to express my thanks to my colleagues for their hard work and cooperation on the other parts of this bill. Senator Mikulski and Hutchison and their staff on the Commerce, Justice, Science Subcommittee, and Senators Murray and Collins and their staff on the Subcommittee for Transportation and Housing and Urban Development. The floor staff, Mr. President, has worked hard over the course of the last several days. Often that work goes unnoticed, but managing this bill has not been easy. It was a little different than many of the appropriations bills that have been brought to the Senate floor, and certainly the floor staff have been of tremendous help to me and to the committee staff. This has been a long process. A dozen amendments that affect the Agriculture Division of this bill have been accepted over the course of the debate on the bill. I'm glad we've had an open debate on these bills and hope we can swiftly move to conference with the House and send this work product on to the President so that we can get these appropriations processes started as close to the regular time as we possibly could based on the moment we find ourselves in, and look forward to working with the Appropriations Committee as we bring other bills to the floor. And again, I want to close my remarks on this bill by expressing my personal appreciation to Senator Cole and his willingness to work with a new member of the Senate in putting this product together and bringing this bill to the floor. And thank you, Senator Cole. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Senator from Wisconsin.
Mr. President, I have two unanimous consent requests for committees to meet during today's session of the Senate. They have the approval of the majority and the minority leaders. I ask unanimous consent that these requests be agreed to and that these requests be printed in the record.
Is there objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. President.
The Senator from Vermont.
Mr. President, are we now in morning business?
Yes, we are.
I thank the distinguished presiding officer. I also compliment both senators who just spoke, Senator Cole and Senator Blunt, for their excellent work. And I apologize for the laryngitis. Mr. President, like everybody here, I've followed these votes and the negotiations and did vote, and I'm encouraged by the progress made on the Transportation HUD appropriations bill, which we've now approved. It funds our nation's ongoing transportation investments, but if I might just speak of one part of the country it helps. It includes crucial emergency disaster funding for Vermont and the other states struggling to recover from Hurricane Tropical Storm Irene. This bill is part of the response needed from Congress by thousands of Vermonters, actually by millions of other Americans. It's vital not only for the economy of Vermont and other states whose roads and bridges were decimated by the storm, but for the nation's economy. And I commend Chair Senator Murray and the ranking member Senator Collins for their hard work in this. Mr. President, I've said many times on this floor, Hurricane Irene was devastating to our small state of Vermont. I was born in Vermont, as were my parents. And I've never seen destruction of this magnitude. The only thing that even comes near it is some of the things my grandparents used to tell me about when they were younger, of floods in Vermont. This flood and the flash floods caused by the storm destroyed homes and farms, businesses, bridges, and roads, things that had stood for over a century, were wiped out in a matter of minutes. It just washed the roads and structures away. I helicoptered over Vermont with Governor Shumlin and General Doobie, the head of our Vermont National Guard, the day after the storm, and none of us could believe the things we were seeing. And we know the repair costs are going to be well over $100 million. In our little state, we're stretched to the limit. Now, Vermont moved immediately. I mean, as the rain stopped, we had crews in there working to repair things. We didn't wait for anybody else. We just started moving, neighbors helping neighbors, our state and local governments working, our National Guard, Red Cross, everybody working. But we do need federal disaster recovery loans and grants to help those whose lives were upturned by Irene. Federal disaster recovery aid has always been available to other states after something like this. We need it now in Vermont. And this bill is an essential part of the work that Congress should be doing in response to major events like Irene, and the imperative of pulling together as a nation to heal these wounds. The Senate, the presiding officer recalled when we reconvened after Labor Day, those of us on appropriations worked on this bill and other disaster relief legislation. They've been top priorities for Vermont and for many other states. Many other committees were involved. Certainly the Vermont delegation worked together on this, but other senators came together to help us. Week by week, we've made progress. We've overcome a series of legislative obstacles. One by one, we've been able to turn the lights from red to green in a legislative process that this year has been unduly cumbersome, non-responsive, actually different than I've ever seen in the years I've spent here in the Senate. But the progress that we've achieved here in the Senate is a testament to the determination of many in this body who have been willing to set aside ideological imperatives and partisan differences to work together as Republicans and Democrats accomplish the work that the American people and our constituents expect from their government. Now, in Vermont and the other New England states, winter is not just on the horizon, it's on our doorstep. In our state last weekend, we had more than a foot of snow in some parts. I mention this because if you're going to repair roads and bridges, time is a significant factor, time slipping away. We all know that roads and bridges are the circulatory system of our commerce, whether it's the daily lives of living, breathing communities and their citizens, where people have to go to work, go to school, or be together with their families. And so with many of the federal aid disaster programs underfunded, I am especially pleased that this bill contains the $1.9 billion that I and others worked to include to replenish the Federal Highway Disaster Relief Fund. That's going to help rebuild Vermont's vital roadways. And these roadways are critical. They rebuild our economy. They distribute aid. They bring people to hospitals, to schools. It's of the utmost importance that this federal aid reaches Vermont sooner rather than later. You know, our winters can be extremely harsh. I look at Washington, D.C., which will close down with 3 inches of snow. We call that a dusting in our state. Well, many times we'll have a foot of snow overnight. Schools will still open. Commerce still goes on. But you don't rebuild roads with a foot of snow on them. So we have to be working now, and we have to be prepared to work immediately when the snows stop. I've talked with Governor Shumlin, who's spent every single day working on this, and to Senator Sanders and Congressman Welch. Marcel and I, my wife Marcel and I, have driven around the state. We've talked to community leaders, to those who've worked on disaster relief and others. It's very clear, given the mammoth, unprecedented destruction of the storm. Certain waivers are needed to allow states to have funds for repair work that they need without going through all kinds of burdens for those repairs. I mention these waivers, Mr. President, because if we're going to ensure that Vermont and the other states can promptly design and begin emergency and permanent repairs, we have to do it now. We put the waivers into this bill, and I hope the other body will understand that we need them. this bill and its investments in America's crumbling and damaged roads and bridges is a crucial step. It will help restore the economic vitality of our country. I'm also pleased the legislation includes emergency community development block grant funding. Right now, HUD has no funding available. They can address the housing needs of Vermonters affected both by Hurricane Irene and the flooding of this past spring. These disaster recovery programs are woefully underfunded. So, Mr. President, I can't think of the number of hours that I and other members of the committee have worked on this, the evenings, the phone calls, the weekends, touching base, but it's all worth it. This bill can now be accepted by the other body. We can go forward. We can start doing the rebuilding we need. Vermont's a very special place, not just because it's my home, but because of the spirit of its people. This is a state that's always supported help for other states all over the country. We need that help now. And this is a major step forward for that help, and I thank everybody involved with it. It'll be, now all we have to do is get it through the other body, get it on the President's desk, and continue the work of recovery that we're doing both in Vermont and other states damaged by Irene. I'd ask my full statement be made part of the record.
Without objection.
And as we talk about the money, I am tempted, and I actually won't resist the temptation to repeat what a Vermonter told me. I've said before on this floor, we spend unlimited sums to rebuild buildings and roads and bridges in Iraq and Afghanistan, and somebody else comes along and blows them up. Rebuild them in America, for Americans, by Americans, and we Americans will keep them safe. Mr. President, I yield the floor. I suggest
under the previous order, the Senate stands at recess until 2:15 p.m.
So the Senate's in recess now, so senators may attend their weekly party lunches. They just completed a series of votes on amendments and final passage of the so-called minibus bill that includes spending for the agriculture, commerce,